Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Eileen Galindo is here with us. Why Women Kill Season 2 streaming now on Paramount Plus. Eileen, nice to meet you. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you, DJ.
So you've done a lot of great projects in your career, but being on Paramount Plus, Why Women Kill, there's a lot going on with that. So what was this experience like for you?
This was an extraordinary experience working with Mark Cherry and his team. They are masters at this kind of storytelling. So it was really a thrill.
What was most surprising about the experience, given the fact that you've been on so many different sets in the past?
What was most surprising? That's a good question. Um, I think I know, I don't think I had done Desperate Housewives maybe about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. So I had a little bit of a taste of being in Mark's world and the way that they tell stories. But this show is so beautifully crafted from Mark and his writing team to Janie Bryant, the costume designer who did Mad Men and Deadwood, and just everybody, top to bottom. My co-star that I work with mostly, which is Lana Parrilla from Once Upon a Time, she is just glorious. We took so much time to craft these characters, the backstory, where they're from. Our relationship was so rock solid that it's really coming across on camera, and the fans are responding. It's amazing.
It's really interesting that you mentioned Desperate Housewives because it kind of has some of that in here, and you don't necessarily think about it unless you know Mark and his work. So, what was most interesting just about kind of the layers that are unpacked here between infidelity and relationships, and even just what's going on in the 40s as well?
Well, this particular show, as you said, it takes place in 1949, and the main thing, what it's exploring, is what it means to be beautiful and the truth behind the facades that people put up, sort of like the public face that people put forward, and what's really going on in their lives. And let me see what else I can tell you without telling you too much. It definitely, it's the lengths that someone will go to be accepted and be a part of something. And I think everybody can relate to that. That's what makes it universal. But of course, it all revolves around Alma Philcott, who is, as you know, if you've already seen episode 1 and 2, she's doing what she has to do to get ahead, including, what is it, at the peril of poor Mrs. Yost, the next door neighbor. So
Yeah, that's a good sell that right there. And it's also cool because you get a few episodes at a time here. You've done stuff where it comes out right away, and then you have this. What's it like engaging with people when they're just waiting for more and they want to binge the whole thing?
this is, I think I want to say this is my first experience with this kind of programming. And I love Instagram. I'm a very visual person, and I love communicating with the fans on Instagram, and they are so great. I mean, we have fans from all over the world: Brazil, Poland, France, Puerto Rico, because both Lana, myself, and Cynthia Quiles, who is one of the recurring guest stars, all three of us have Puerto Rican background. So we have a strong, Puerto Rican showing. And it's been really, really cool. Yeah, it's been really, really cool to be a part of something like this, where every week it's just like the anticipation. When I woke up this morning and looked on my Instagram, some of the fans in Brazil had stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning so that they could see the new show.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the power of streaming. That's the power of Paramount Plus. And for somebody like you, right, you've been doing this thing for a minute. How crazy is it for you to just think about the evolution of the business from where it was in the 90s with people just tuning in on their 4 channels to where we're at with everything with streaming?
That's something that I think about a lot, because I am a television baby and I love the medium of television. What has changed is that we all are not having a collective experience like we used to have. And I think that's good and that's bad, because everybody used to be on the same page. When something was happening, it was must-see TV, for lack of a better phrase, and everybody would tune in together, and everybody would have the same thing to talk over in the water cooler. Obviously, the water cooler's gone away in the last year, so nobody's talking about things in that way. But even in social media, if you have a particular interest in a particular genre, there is a show for you. So there's tons more content. But for a union actor like myself, to be honest, it's tough because we are making much less than we used to make in the 90s. We make pennies on the dollar because shows don't rerun in the summer like they used to. So yeah, it's there's a lot more content out there, but and cost of living has gone up, but unfortunately, we're not making what we used to. So that's not a great part of it, but there is more choice for people.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because when we talk with streaming, we think about all of the options and all of the shows, but nobody gets real about what it actually means to work month in and month out, year in and year out. And, you're somebody that's done that for a couple of decades now. So what has been the key for you?
I'm what you call a journeyman actor.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you sustained it? How have you built it out all these years?
Well, pretty much it's the same model that I incorporated, over 30 years ago. I also do voiceover and commercials and film and theater. So doing a little bit of everything is what, brings me that paycheck. I am solidly in the middle class. Now, it used to be back in the 90s, there were 6% of the union members that were middle class actors that made their living as actors, earned anywhere from 50,000 a year to, let's say, 150,000 a year. And now that is about 1% of the labor force, the industry labor force that makes that living. So I keep it going with, like I said, I was Dora's mom on Dora the Explorer for 16 years, wow, for 16 seasons. Yeah. So that is the gift that keeps giving, as long as, kids are being born and
they're going to be watching Dora.
Backpack, they're going to be watching that. So thank God. That and, other animated shows like Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law for Disney. I did those as well. So, and those continue to pay pretty good residuals. So we, as actors, we really live on our royalties. Royalty is what, pays the mortgage.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. You mentioned Dora the Explorer. What were the expectations when that got going all those years ago?
There were no expectations. I'm telling you, I tell this story all the time. I auditioned over the phone.
No way. Wow.
Call this number at Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon had just started maybe a couple of years earlier. Call this number and just read these lines into the phone. Did that, got the job, went to the studio, met Kathleen Hurley's, the little girl who's now graduated from college, and probably is, she's not, I don't know, do you think she's even in the show business anymore? She was the first Dora. I had 5 daughters over the course of the series. Wow. But after that first year, we really had no idea that it was going to blow up and become what it was. I stepped away from the show for a couple of years when I first came to Los Angeles, because the show was produced in New York. And then I came back for the last good portion of it. But I was out of the show for a couple of seasons, and then I came back.
How much did you miss it when you stepped away?
I missed it a lot. I was busy here in LA. I did 3 plays in 5 years at the Mark Taper Forum.
Wow. Yeah.
Originating new shows, new work, which is really my first love is theater. So I was busy doing theater, developing new plays. I was, guest starring and recurring on shows pretty much from when I got here. So, just going from show to show to show to show. And it's so funny because my friends would say to me, this isn't normal, right? People don't just go from show to show to show. And I said, I don't know, I'm the blue collar, I'm the very sort of typical blue collar next door neighbor, the person that everybody knows. And so I fit into a lot of different slots on a lot of different shows and films and stuff. So.
And you have a lot of good stories along the way, right? All the parts that you've gotten. I'm sure there's been some parts that you've come up close and just a little bit short. Any one of those that you're just like, man, if only I could have gotten on this show. Are there anything like that?
Yes, I remember when I came to LA, I went with a big agency, and and I left my little agency, went with a big agency, and I booked a part on The Sopranos with James Gandolfini. And I really wanted to do this. And the agent at the time negotiated me out of the job because he said, well, no, they're going to have to pay your, you know, your flight. And then I was like, no, 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 no. You understand? I have an apartment in New York. I can fly myself. I just want to do this show. And so I ended up getting, you know, losing that gig. But I was just recently in the wonderfully fabulous Oscar-nominated short, The Roulette Room. That was a blessing that came out of huge loss. I was in New York because I was on hold for Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Oh, wow.
And they cut the part, so I lost the job. And then they called back and said, okay, no, you're back in. So then I was back in. And then I got cut again. Cut twice. So I joke around and say I was hired and fired by Steven Spielberg twice. And Oscar called, and we've been friends for like over 20 years. And he said, listen, my wife and I are doing this little project, and, you know, would you be interested? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, I'm now unemployed, so sure. And never had any expectation. I mean, all it was supposed to be was, you know, Elvira Lind is this amazing documentarian, and this was going to be sort of her calling card into the narrative world. And she's so brilliant that it turned into this, you know, this Oscar-nominated film. So there you go.
Funny how it all shakes out. You never know, right? The good,
really
the bad, the ugly.
And it's still happening now. I mean, this summer, you know, there were so many things that, you know, jobs that I got and then the parts were cut, or jobs that I was offered and then, you know, then it was taken away. And that's a big part of the journey. It happens to actors at all levels, not just journeyman actors like myself, but, you know, friends of mine that are, you know, higher up on the food chain, as we say, you know, they lose opportunities all the time because of, you know, there's a myriad of reasons why something doesn't work out. So that's part of the game.
Well, I'm glad you got Why Women Kill. What else can people check you out, and what else is coming up for you these days?
On June 12th at 5 p.m., if you go to ohiplays.org, myself, Jimmy Smits, John C. Riley, we're all going to be doing a virtual benefit for the Ojai Playwrights Conference. And Ojai Plays develops all of these wonderful new plays, many that go to Broadway. So if you're a theater fan, you'll get to see, I mean, Charlene Woodard, I mean, just Philippa Sue from Hamilton is going to participate. So I'm going to be doing a tribute to the late theater writer and director Diane Rodriguez, performing her one-woman show Perfecta. And it's funny and it's poignant. And like I said, if you tune in, you make a donation as little as $20, you get your virtual seat to the conference, and you can tune in and watch, you know, all of your favorite celebrities and me, you know, do a little theater something. And if you've got Paramount Plus, tune into this week's episode of Why Women Kill, because it's going to start heating up. And if you don't have Paramount Plus, get Paramount Plus, because it's an awesome channel. You can see The Godfather, like the whole thing. I know I'm
and the coda is coming, which is all about the Godfather.
Oh, I saw the coda. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Anyway, it's all good. Yeah.
Lots of good stuff on Paramount Plus. Eileen's on there. Eileen, nice to meet you. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you later, right?
Okay.